Hi, friends. It is I, host Eric, host of Talking with Famous People, getting a little last bit of streaming here tonight before I go to bed. I gotta get up early because I got a 4 a.m. typing, so, you know, I don't have a super long time of streaming in me. I need to get at least 4 hours of sleep before I get up again, so probably go to bed by 11 or so, and that way I'm sure to get around 4 hours. But I don't feel like I really got to talk out this morning my thoughts on civilization the way that I wanted to, and or I have more thoughts about it. It's like we this moment in history is a new phenomenon for humanity in lots of different ways. Prior to the internet, it simply wasn't the case that a vast majority of people meaningfully engaged with the public discourse. Really, they were potential audience members for a limited number of people who talked about civilization matters, the public good, how we can sustain the individual's autonomy in a group, etc. So, the thing is, there's sort of a built-in mechanism by which...
Are you live streaming?
Yeah, I sure am.
Yay! I just wanted to double check. There's an email that says 4 a.m. session. Hey Eric, our typing session should start now. Are you ready?
I mean, that's not correct. He accepted the calendar thing. Let's see. Yeah. I'll go join it, but he means this?
Yes, me, you know.
Okay. So he should realize that this... It's like, how did he get to the Google Meet even? Without... Alright. Let's see what he has to say. I'll go to my email. Where? Oh, is it down here?
It's right there. Oh. Yeah, there we go.
I sent a calendar invite, which you accepted. Which is for 4 a.m. my time, and approximately 5.5 hours. No. 9:30, 10:30, 11:30, 12:30, 1:30, 2:30, 3:30, 6.5 hours. That's just all the problem. Okay, so yeah, that was that person's problem.
Okay.
Thank you for letting me know, though. I appreciate it
You're welcome.
because I definitely needed to email him and make sure that he.
Alright, so you are live streaming.
Yes.
Okay, cool. I'll check in.
All right. So we're not going to play team stupid today. So just knock it off immediately. If you think the decline of civilization is an opportunity to blame somebody, well, you're part of the reason for the decline of Western civilization. If you've got your pet enemy, whether they be liberals or conservatives or something like that, you're part of the problem, not part of the solution, so don't bring that shit. Just as a straight up warning ahead of time. I'm not interested in that nonsense. It's for children and, mentally disabled people. So anyway, good question, Leaf Trimmer. Decline, collapse, or persistence, which one is it? Well, if so, my take on it is this: that we don't really have any means to evaluate our current moment in history because it's so different from every other moment in history. It marks a point in which we've both outgrown our aquarium and also a point in which we've yet to quite realize that we have a new aquarium concurrently constructed. So it's like when I'm reading those articles about global dread or the collapse of civilization or whatever, they consistently all have the same mechanism by which this collapse occurs, namely that overpopulation makes continuing economic growth impossible, and we've reached beyond the point at which we can exploit wealth from the world. So what's the problem here with that notion? It ignores the fact that they have no idea what wealth is, where it comes from, what it means, how it's generated, or anything like that. They assume that every bit of wealth generated, every bit of economic growth, is at the expense of something environmental. It was prior to having an economic engine in a metaphysical ecosystem like the internet. Now that we've got the interwebs, and we've got our computers, which have the capacity to pay attention for us in ways that are useful potentially. So, cryptocurrency, to some extent, represents an emergent phenomenon to fill in a gap between the amount of fungible representations of wealth and the total amount of wealth that should exist in the world. So, like, you may have read that in the U.S. inflation is higher than it's been in decades, and it's primarily because food and grocery costs are the highest they've been as a proportion of total income for a long time. So that's obviously very concerning because for most people, well, I mean, the thing is, Leaf Sherman, South Park's usually right on the money, but sometimes they're not. And it may be this is one of those occasions. I would just remember, first and foremost, whatever anybody's thoughts or feelings are on something abstract like that, determine what my position on it is first, because that's almost certainly the right one, and then In other words, don't look for things that agree with your existing position. Look to my position to figure out what the right position is and adopt that. Um, Regardless, I think things are pretty good right now in some sense as well. Like, it's because we're so unable to communicate with one another, we're very easy, we're very prone to, and it's very easy to communicate a lot of alarmism because naturally, when something alarmist is being communicated, uh, it, implicit to it is the idea that it's significant, it's worth your attention, that there's some risk involved or whatnot. And unfortunately, mostly what people do when they're talking in the political discourse, about political, like the public discourse, the public arena, mostly what they do is they basically create a subhuman enemy and attack it. So if you're you know, or hardcore Republican or something, whatever the problems are, you have a set of imaginary people to blame, and that is better than having to actually engage in meaningful discourse. It's easier, it's satisfying. You know who's to blame. If we could just, and the problem seems just out of reach. If we could just get through those damn meow meow meows, then we'll be able to be back on the right course. Of course, neither those damn meow meow meows nor your damn meow meow meows are worth a pot to piss in because you're stuck on being children. So you're not worth anything as far as public discourse goes. Number one thing to do is remember that there is no imaginary boogeyman that you can blame for everything. Sorry, it doesn't work like that. You're guilty of a fundamental attribution bias. You're crediting your imaginary enemies with way more capacity than you're crediting any normal person with. You've created an imaginary enemy that exists and behaves in contradiction to the nature of reality, which is to say we've got a bunch of individual independent agents, none of whom can represent in full a unified force, each of whom necessarily has their own thoughts and opinions, whether they are subjugated or not. Scapegoats are like masturbation. I like that. They make my girlfriend cry. That's what scapegoats do. Um, so the thing is, if we're gonna talk decline, it's much more likely to meaningfully decline than it would be to collapse because, regardless of anything else, there's a long way to go before we can conceive of centralized bodies, centralized incorporations, be they governments or whatever, uh, not being able to successfully execute or apply a monopoly on use of force to, at the very least, compel some kind of draconian police state. So it seems unlikely that we'll collapse into chaotic rioting or something. Now, granted, if there's nuclear war, there's nuclear war, but the thing is, there's not going to be a moment where we go, oh, that's it, the environment's collapsed on us. It's instead going to be what it's always been with human civilization, that the reason humanity persists is because it can adapt to any environment, basically. The thing is, a this is the thing that people don't understand is where cryptocurrency gets its value from is more than just its functionality as a fungible currency. It's that it's produced at the cost of attention being directed towards garnering it. And that's what we call work, which creates new wealth. Normally, that new wealth doesn't go directly to the person who does the work, right? There's this weird process we have. If you're mining gold, then and you successfully mine some, then now you have gold you didn't used to have, and the wealth goes directly to the person who mined the gold. The difference between mining cryptocurrency and mining gold is that mining cryptocurrency is a much more sustainable way of converting attention to wealth and much more egalitarian. So, because either way, there's nothing more real about turning your attention into wealth by mining gold than there is by mining cryptocurrency. That's the mistake people make. They think that there's something more real about a tangible, fungible currency than about an intangible one. But they're wrong. In fact, cryptocurrency is much more reliable than fiat currency in large part because it's uncounterfeitable, unlike regular currency. So, the thing is, if you're talking about cryptocurrency and you're around here like you are, Lee Trimmer, you're around here too much to be wrong about things. You have access to the right position about everything. You just have to listen to me. You should never be wrong about anything. That's the one benefit you can guarantee to pick up from being around here all the time. If you just listen to me, is you don't have to be wrong about anything anymore. Well, ulterior motif, you make an interesting point, obviously. In other words, cryptocurrency and gold are not legal tender in the United States insofar as you can't use them to pay your taxes. However, that is, you're sort of pretending fungible commodities don't exist, right? So there are fungible commodities that have inherent wealth that you can exchange readily for fiat currency. So while technically you're right, it's functionally irrelevant. The key component here, and this is what I want everybody to understand, is that it's a mistake to think that wealth is generated when we convert actual resources into products, and that's the only way that wealth is generated or something. Wealth is generated when attention is directed in a way that's useful to somebody. So, and it doesn't even have to be our own attention we've discovered. It can be our computer doing the attending for us. Why is my computer mining Bitcoin useful to somebody? Because it's contributing to the process by which that attains legitimacy and value, and it has an opportunity cost. The attention your computer could be directing to something else is not being directed to that other thing. If there were a way to accurately define me, it would be functionally irrelevant. Well, the point is, I agree with you that because of the thing you're talking about there, about whether or not the U.S. government accepts it for tax payments, that's why my crypto USD policy will work. It's reliant on the fact that the U.S. doesn't accept anything but fiat currency right now. So, you are wise, but I'm still way ahead of you. Okay? I'm way ahead of you. I'm already aware of all those factors and how to make them work in the U.S.'s benefit rather than detriment. Well, that's what I'm talking about. Now, the beautiful thing about the U.S. crypto dollar that I've conceived of is that, of course, it actually doesn't even need to be. The only thing that needs to be done with the law writing body, the legislature, is this issue of accepting it as taxes. Everything else can be done without including anything like the Treasury or the legislature or any government body. It can be systemized such that it happens automatically, that the government can't access those funds. They're not government monies. It's a, of course, law writers can always write their way out of those kind of constrictions, but we do the best we can. If they do write their way out of these constrictions, then they kill the golden goose. So, modern monetary theory is wrong. So, the problem is the government is not the source of wealth at all, and it's crazy how we have whole branches of economics predicated on nobody successfully defining wealth first. Wealth is a metaphysical thing first. It's one of the few things in the world that exists metaphysically before it exists physically. So, in other words, we think of money as the stuff that we spend, but we recognize that, in fact, wealth is metaphysical, that it's a quality of beholdence. In other words, wealth exists because sometimes you need me to do you a favor. And then there's a sense of, because human beings can remember and keep track of things across time, there's beholdence occurring there. In other words, then you're beholden to me to return the favor in some regard, or give me something of equal value. Now, instead of having to exchange favors and barter for shit all the time, it was necessary that humanity come up with a fungible, physical form of wealth, which is where the first currencies came from. The only way that they could have fungible, physical forms of wealth that weren't counterfeitable is to cast them in rare metals. So, but that's not ideal because it's not clear exactly how much gold is in the ground, and potentially if somebody finds a big enough mine of it, then it could the value of it could plummet if it gets too conspicuous, if there's too abundant. So, but it worked fine because it turned out it was at the appropriate level of scarcity, etc., etc., etc. But the key thing to remember is, at no point are the economic exchanges of money actually responsible for wealth. They're just representative of exchanges of wealth. And the only way that we can represent the total new wealth that goes into an economy based on the work done by people is to increase the amount of currency. So the U.S. has been increasing the amount of currency year after year after year after year for years and decades, right? Without inflation. Why? Because the amount of currency needed to be increased to represent the total increased amount of wealth that exists regardless of whether you have the currency printed for it or not. So if you've got too little currency printed for the total amount of wealth, you will eventually get deflation, such that every piece of currency becomes worth more and more and more. Which is why they had to do what they called quantitative easing. What's funny is they did quantitative easing without any frame of reference that would explain why it shouldn't cause inflation. If you look at all MMT, all modern monetary theory, or in fact, if you look at any and all economics at all, it's all predicated, it's all wrong for the same reason. They don't do the number one thing you'd have to do first before you can even begin to think about studying economics. What is the number one thing that must be done at the beginning of any economics textbook if you want to make any sense of the subject at all? You have to define wealth. And you have to operationally define it. And if you can't, then you're just talking out of your ass. Something like that ulterior motif. And the idea, okay, here's how you know people don't understand economics, including Nobel Prize winning economists. So, there's this perception that somehow fiat currency is different than another kind of currency that exists that's not fiat. Not true. Fiat currency and non-fiat currency are equally arbitrary. Whether you have a gold standard or no gold standard, whether it has wealth because a government accepts it for taxes, or because there's legitimate physical scarcity, or because it's fungible in just the right way and represents a outcome of attention, it doesn't matter. So it's like the reason fiat currency is just fiat currency is because it's a less efficient, effective, and accurate way of releasing new wealth into the world and distributing it to those who do the work that generate it than is the contemporary monetary system, which relies upon this strange way of infusing the wealth that the people of the country generate back into the economy. So it's like, why should people have to borrow the money that gets put back into the economy? Why doesn't the government just, instead of giving it to the banks to loan out the extra currency entering the economy, why doesn't it just cut everybody a check for a portion of it? I've never had anybody meaningfully explain to me why this is the case. If in fact that currency represents the existence of more wealth, so that it doesn't cause inflation, then why does it need to be loaned out? Okay, so Jasper Alberts demonstrates a really good example of not understanding things. If fiat wasn't inferior to sound money, so what makes money sound? Now, granted, a gold standard does lock the United States in to a behavioral link, which is to say, in order to generate more currency, we have to acquire more gold to back that currency. And you may say, the reason it's more real is because gold's accepted as a currency by everybody, whereas dollars aren't. Except that's not true. Gold, by and large, is not accepted as a currency by most people, and dollars can easily be converted to other currencies. So that's false. Now, it does allow for a government to print money equal to the amount of wealth the country needs to represent, regardless of their behavior with gold. So in that regard, it's definitely preferable to not link to a gold standard, because at the end of the day, the gold standard is just as arbitrary as the standard for taxation. There's no real difference, okay? You have to understand that every currency is, in some sense, fiat. It has value because primarily it functions as a currency well. It has the attributes that a currency needs to have, which means it needs to be fungible, divisible, non-counterfeitable. So, Jasper Alberts, before you made that statement, had you evaluated or thought about what a currency needs to have, or what quality something needs to have to become a currency and to be effective as a currency? Had you thought about those elements? Fungibility, divisibility, and non-counterfeitability. So the only meaningful way that a currency can change its status is on one of those vectors, and gold doesn't change it on any of those vectors. So, the thing is, it is true that the modern dollar buys less than the dollar of 1940, and it's also true that the amount of money the average person has to spend on the basics comprises a larger percentage of their total income than it used to. Of course, the basics comprises a larger set of necessities than it used to as well. Now, Chase McDude, I'm I'm the George Wallace of singularity integration. Okay, I'm all for segregating the singularity from the rest of us. Let's make it ride in a separate bus. I think that's fair. I don't want it to get its inferior singularity identities spilled on me. Um. So yeah, the problem when we talk economics is people have no fucking idea what they're talking about. And the funny thing is, they have no idea what they're talking about because they skipped step one. They have no idea what wealth is defined as. Yeah, I defined it. Wealth is a metaphysical quality, a metaphysical object, so to speak, that is generated when people do useful work for another person. It generates beholdens, which is essentially converted into new wealth. In other words, we can understand how new wealth is created by work very easily if we just think about a farm, for example. I put my work into this piece of land, and instead of producing a bunch of scrub brush and whatever, it produces food that feeds people. So, in other words, my work has generated utility for other people. That wealth is very tangible. I don't have to go out and hunt today because I can eat some of that farmer's food. And that enables me to do other things, right? We get the idea that the farmer created new wealth because he took a piece of land that wouldn't have produced something useful and made it produce something useful. But we think that because that particular kind of new wealth is physical, that all conversions of attention into wealth are resource depleting. But they're not in the modern age with the internet. And yet the wealth generated is just as real as the corn a farm generates. Yes, I'll sign up to your Gold Collection membership club. Chase McDude, that's fine. That is totally fine. Okay? I want you to know that there's only two words that are constantly on my mind. And the first of those words is Chase. And the second of those words is McDude. Because you know why? You're not afraid to just come in and say something. You're not worried about these TI pedants squashing your original notions. You just roll right in, middle fingers raised. You say, Chase McDude. And we all just go, hey, welcome. You're right. What were we thinking getting in your way? It's not all relative. Nah. Ain't nothing relative about my cock. That's 6.5 feet of concretized man steel. But wealth generated is directly related to the economies of scale. What do you mean by that? I mean, people can generate wealth by providing utility for somebody else's enterprise. That's called being an employee. And it is true that enterprises that scale more have a greater chance of being successful. That, to a certain extent, this ends up being a good and a bad thing. It relegates individuals, a higher percentage of individuals into a less of an ownership position because these scalable retail outfits represent large groups' efforts at uniformity and optimized protocols, whereas small businesses normally can't compete accordingly. So there is this reality that it becomes increasingly easy as we move forward in civilization to be able to successfully provide enough utility to others without owning anything to be comfortable. So it used to be that only the ownership class was comfortable and the rest of the world was serfs, right? But now you don't have to be of the ownership class, by which I mean you don't have to own the means of production to make a good living as an employee in some fields anyway, right? No, I'm holding out the end, John Schindler. You're welcome. So, a lot of people came to me today after that first stream and they said, Eric, can you please slow or put the decline and fall of Western civilization on pause so that we can get our thoughts together on this? I said, sure. I've gone ahead and given us a 2-year moratorium on either decline or collapse. So it's a guaranteed persist for 2 years. That should give us some time to get our thoughts straightened out and figure out what we're going to do. It's Saturday and you nerds want to parse definitions and logic and shit. Psh, freaking nerds. Yeah, nerds. Quit being nerdy. I'm so sick of your nerd getting into my french fry ketchup. Kai said hi. Hi, Kai. How's it going? Are you rocking, rolling, and way out of controlling? Are you just waiting for this live stream to end so that Eliana will pay attention to you? Alright, come on, Eric. I'm trying to have sex here. Finish the stream up. That's funny. Well, I am going to finish it up relatively on the early-ish side because I am supposed to type one at 4 in the morning, okay? But I got an email from them 2 hours ago saying, it's 4 in the morning. Where are you? Except here's the deal. I put it on my calendar. They accepted the calendar invite, and it's very clearly 4 in the morning my time. So they don't have a goddamn leg to stand on in terms of complaining about me not showing up or anything, right? This stream would be more like lubrication more so. No, I try to keep everything dry. No lube will emit or discharge from this stream, guaranteed. Your computer and your internet tubes are all safe. This is a discharge-free stream. There will be no bodily fluids of any sort, nor the facilitation of any bodily fluids. This is a hygiene squeamish stream, okay? Before we have sexual intercourse on this stream, we carefully sterilize each other from head to toe in a decontamination suit. Because why? Because no matter what, we don't want to smell sex when having it. True dat. You can't smoke, only alcohol job interviews. You've got 2 jobs. Get drunk and go to job interviews. Occasionally eat, that's it. Eat, sleep, rave, repeat. Okay? John Schindler, it sounds like you've forgotten rule number 1 of life. Eat, sleep, rave, repeat. Okay? How much Molly are you on right now? Probably not enough. How are you going to rave properly? Do you have house music playing in the background? I don't hear anything. No, it doesn't. Ulterior motive. You know, sex smells like sex, you know? It's like, even if during the part of it that you're having sex, it's like, okay, well, it smells like we're having sex. But then after you're done, you're like, I smell like sex. It had nothing to do with it. Rachel doesn't smell bad. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that, like, you know, a lot of people, I think, don't necessarily bathe before they have sexual intercourse, whereas that's kind of a necessary thing in my book. This will cost you a job. commenting on this live stream? I doubt it. I've yet to have an employer call me up and say, "Hey, an applicant of mine watches your streams regularly. Can you can you tell me what you think about them, Eric?" I think they're fantastic. They got great taste in live streams. Let me smell your essence. I like the smell, Rachel. I just don't love. I never have the the lack of just the general grossness of sex. You know, it's just generally gross. It's it's like it's it's only not gross when you're horny and wanting to have it. Then when you're done, when you think about it, you think those are strange things we do. Why am I doing those things? Like, it seems fun, but you get spit all over you. You know. And then you wonder afterwards, I'm not at all like this guy I am when I'm having sex. Why am I like that exactly? I guess just because it's just a heterosexual male, But pheromones. I don't need your stinking pheromones. I don't need your pheromones. I just need to share my bone. I'm gonna share my bone with your holes. During the first few seconds of post nut clarity, I'm doing this. Usually. Considerable portion of the time anyway. Because, normally I'm not that motivated to exert myself, but you kind of don't really notice how much you're exerting yourself when you're in the throes of it until after you're done, and you're like, oh, wow, I am out of breath. Phew. Working hard. That's my favorite kind of exercise, though. I will say that. I'm not a huge exercise fan, but as exercise goes, sex is definitely the best form of exercise. Yeah, unless I'm on a bunch of Adderall or something, flow state, I usually fall asleep right after. Um, although lately I haven't been. Lately I've been getting back up, but that just means I probably didn't pick the best time to have sexual intercourse. If I pick it either like before my afternoon nap, or I fall asleep better during the day in general. But ever since Rachel and I stopped having sexual intercourse and started having rectual intercourse, it's involved a lot more Scooby snacks, which I think help keep us energized. Fred's there, of course. He controls the Scooby snacks. Yeah, Norm's probably an ENTP. Give me an O, give me an R, give me a G. What's that spell? Org. You left out ASM. R.I.P. Norman McDonald. R.I.P. indeed. I think Norm might have been an INTP, though. I don't blame you. I don't like typing on my phone either. You know why? Because either phone is too small, eyes are too old, or fingers are too fat. One of those three things is true. You've lowered to your baser animal self and busted a nut. I don't feel guilty or anything or bad after I masturbate, but if it took longer than about 5 minutes, I feel like I've wasted time. Like, okay, this is not going anywhere. I know exactly where this is leading, okay? There's no reason for it to take especially long to get there. It's not like sexual intercourse with another person where it's a much more, like, you know, a process you want to like get fully into, but you just rub one out. Why should it take longer than about 5 minutes? If you're all thwacked out and you spend like an hour, then you feel like, okay, Eric, what were you doing there? That's just okay. That's not a good use of your time or your energy. I'm not trying to elevate myself beyond biology. I think it's critically important that I have uh, a conflict-free relationship with good, frequent, by my standards, I guess, sexual intercourse. I'm really happy with my current relationship, and I don't expect it to ever be replaced. I'm very satisfied, and there's not any unnecessary volatility. It's like, it's important to me that I have a woman so I don't have to think about getting one or not having one or be frustrated, you know? But really, it's very important that I just I feel safe in terms of my sexual expression or whatever, and like I'm not gonna get criticized or something, and that my partner's happy with me as a partner. So beyond that, I don't really want to spend a lot of time and attention thinking about it, and and that's because it's like it's always kind of a mystery to me anyway. It tends to take me by surprise. Like I'll be doing something and you sort of realize that I'm like thinking about Rachel or something like that, and all of a sudden I realize, oh, I think I'm horny, and then I go and say, hey, I'm gonna go wash my undercarriage. You want to do the same? We'll meet in here. Then we clean ourselves, and 1,000 a week in Missouri. What else are you gonna spend it on? If I lived in Missouri, I'd have sex 1,000 times a week. That's too many times a week. I don't think Rachel is really up for 1,000 sexual intercourses a week. I suspect both her tender pocket and my indomitable man steel would feel the wear and tear by the time we completed having sexual intercourse 1,000 times in a week. How does the media play into the collapse and persist paradigm? Well, I mean, it's exemplary of what happens when we've set ourselves up for collapse or decline, which is to say, because the wrong narratives have attained predominance in the absence of the right narrative, then it's going to seem as though the media is that the media comprises two unified groups of partisans and advocates who are fighting against each other, and that one side seems to be winning, namely, quote unquote, the liberal media, right? In reality, it's much simpler than that. It's that in the absence of the correct frame of reference, which is to say, in the absence of a meta frame that explains why people are right and wrong, and what kind of things they're capable of being right and wrong about, then everybody thinks that their little pet framing is just as valid as everybody else. Nothing's actually nothing actually needs to explain things correctly in order to be validated as a form of discourse, because there's not agreement that there is a correct way. Even though there is, actually, it's understandable why people don't agree, because it's it's never had it hasn't been ready heretofore, and it's like, if you want to have a paradigm changing, world changing kind of thing. Hi, darling.
Hi. I just can't understand.
I don't know what you're referring to, ulterior motif, but uh, it is universally the metaframe. Because remember, that which is the metaframe is the same thing as that in which you can't find an instance that can't be rendered in those terms. So there's no thing that we can talk about, reference, consider, or whatever that hasn't been attended to in some way first. It's either the product of human attention, it's an object of human attention, or it's been observed in some fashion. Observation precedes any expression, right? Jobs do kind of suck. You're never gonna be able to FB shame the FI DOMs. I don't tend to think the FI DOMs are a problem per se. I think that instead, what you end up having is either TI4 or TI7 being the main sources of the difficulties. Because if you get TI4 in an ENFJ, like, ESFJs are basically humble in the sense that they don't believe themselves to be the right people to explain general philosophical things. They're particularist in their tool function. And they're correct. They're not the right people to do that. And of course, ENFJs don't think that. ENFJs think they are the right person to do that, even though they're trying to use too much NI and too little TI, and it's all instrumental anyway. So they're saying, okay, how can I help you reshape all of these truths so that you can apply them to something specific and accomplish an outcome? Because that's what truths and logic are for. They aren't ends in themselves. You graduated 22 years ago and you're still waiting in line in your cap and gown for a diploma? That is a long graduation ceremony. You should have said, forget it, just mail it to me. So you should have said. Oh, well, my college years were great, except for the graduation ceremony. It lasted 22 years. And at the time I got my diploma, people were like, well, what's with this huge 22 gap in your work history? You say you graduated from college, and then after 22 years, then you have to say, well, I was waiting for my diploma on stage. Boy, did my legs get tired. And I so had to pee. By the time they got around to me, it was crazy. BA in music, BS in comp science, minor in biology, sub-minor in French, double sub-minor in critical race theory. You didn't go to your graduation? I went to my college graduation. I went to both my high school and my college graduation. Um, in my college graduation, they played the song, "Today is the greatest day I've ever known. Can't wait for tomorrow. Tomorrow's my strong." Alright, so let me go ahead and lay it on you guys. Ulterior motive, leaf trimmer, John, flow state, everybody. Sexual intercourse is only acceptable through a hole in the sheet, missionary style, after you've been married for 3 or 4 years. A lot of people make the mistake of thinking it's okay to have sex once you're married. That's after the waiting period. It's a minimum of 2 years, a maximum of 5. Well, the reason you're not a successful businessman but instead are in construction, Taylor, is because you are sexually immoral. You didn't follow that rule that I just stated. You didn't wait 5 years until after you got married to have sexual intercourse. So naturally, God's punishing you by making you do work that's hard on your body. You know, you're going to wear out your elbows. It's true. I wore out my right elbow, and I didn't even work in construction just because picking up shit too far away from me, you know. Well, I'm glad you're an independent contractor, but listen, with independence comes a deep, ontologically threatening isolation that makes you at risk for depression, SARS, SARS-2, Ebola, and SAD, seasonal affective disorder. So you need to be careful. You hated being a banker. I liked visiting you in Pratt, though. That was fun. That was a lot of fun. Weird place. Weird fucking place. That is a weird fucking place. It's like how does like deep middle America deal with global dread? It not well. Yeah, of course, sure. I'm interested in getting fucked up, provided it doesn't involve any alcohol. I don't drink any alcohol, but there's more than one way to skin a cat, as they say. I typed an ESTP today, Taylor, and like you, and like my daughter, and like most every other ESTP I've ever asked this point to, they don't like pot. ESTPs don't like pot. What are you going to do? You know? What are you going to do? Taylor's not in St. Louis. St. Louis is in Missouri. He's only technically in Missouri. Really, his heart, his spirit animal are all three still in Kansas. Yeah, well, that's Hey, look, everybody. Shocking. Once again, Jeff Shaw's superior wisdom has found that I have, once again, typed somebody wrong. Is there any typing you ever agree with, Jeff Shaw? You ever think I'm right? Yeah. Pot is boring. Your mom's face is boring. Jeez. I'm going to pull a bowl of your mom's face right now. That'll make it more exciting. I'm so tired of not smoking Taylor's mom's face that I'm going to just pull this bowl right here. This bowl I'm going to Okay, cool. Thanks, Rachel. I appreciate it. You're a lifesaver. Did he say my bad or something? I can't count the number of times I've heard Taylor singing the song, "Do You Know the Way to San Jose?" Because his ultimate dream is to get a Bay Area home in an extremely progressive neighborhood of San Jose, where he can contribute most of his paycheck to building new services for the homeless. I typed to somebody from Japan earlier today. The one that's not going to get published, I don't think, is um, the guy from Japan. He was an INFP. I typed him as INFP. At the end of it, he said, "Are you sure I'm not an ISTJ?" Which is a pretty good sign he's an INFP. John Schindler, I'm clean and sober too. I'm clean, I'm sober, and I do a lot of drugs. I want to go on the record right here as saying this. There's nothing about drugs that makes you dirty. So, not doing drugs is not failing, is not being clean, okay? One's cleanliness has nothing to do with one's drug doingness. I got chlamydia in my junk. Oh, we did? Oh, yeah. Remember what I was saying earlier, Rachel? How I was like, I can never tell with INFPs what they're going to... It's like, so when I'm done typing an INFP, I go, okay, so I'll share this with you privately, and if you decide you want to let me publish, let me know. And they go, well, I have no idea whether he has any consideration even of letting me publish. He's not giving me anything, right? Because INFPs, they have their meow, and then they think about it later and decide what they feel about it, right? You do? Congratulations. Hey, everybody, Flow State's gotten a new skill down. He knows how to get super drunk. I'm not going to get busted. I would potentially go visit people again, but, it's expensive. It's expensive to travel across country in a car, more so than it is to probably fly an Uber and stuff. So it would probably be a different thing. However, I wouldn't count it out. Rachel and I aren't in a position right now to go be doing spendy things. It's like, I don't really like being broke, but I'm not really doing a whole hell of a lot to make us adequately less broke to empower us to do more things. So, it'll be a while till I go on any more big adventures. Flying is cheap, and Uber's affordable enough for most places. If you're not going too many different places. The thing is, John, I'm just a little old for that stuff these days. I need my own space to crash in. I need a hotel room when I travel. It's like, even in 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 theory, I might be able to do some of that traveling on my own. But even on my own now, I would I would still want a hotel room, and with Rachel for sure. So it's like Rachel and I traveling together is a little different than me traveling by myself. But Rachel is an amazing travel partner. Like she and I travel together like a couple of like I am named TRA and she's named VEL. That's how well we travel together. But I mean, right now I really feel like I'm in this waiting period of my life because I'm here in this I'm here weirdly at my dad's house, which made sense when I came here, but doesn't really make sense anymore. But you get used to uh, the lack of the ability to do less work, like pay work, because you can live on the cheap, and then you settle in. So anyway, we will resume traveling to some extent. Um, Within a couple of years, within less than that probably. The thing is, what we're waiting for in part is something kind of morbid. There's a number of people surrounding my dad who don't have a lot of time left, including my uncle Lonnie, my cousin Julie, who's gonna probably be the first of these to go, and she's more or less my age, but she's she's been undergoing very serious cancer treatments and has to get or got. I'm not exactly sure where the process is. Brain surgery. The tumors moved into her brain. It started out as a melanoma. Um, so the reality is, she's not the only one who's sort of been touch and go for a while. Her dad, my uncle Lonnie, also. My dad's friend Richard, also. And then there's my mom, who's deep in dementia, but seems to me is likely to live a fair amount longer. She doesn't seem physically like she's gonna die or anything. She has had some kind of a stroke. One of her hands is like locked into place, like she doesn't, like Bob Dole-esque. Don't slander Missouri again. Time to eat dinner. It's an awfully late dinner for you, John Schindler. Sounds like that's something you should have done a long time ago. Who's Asian? My mom's face? No. She's not. So anyway, I've got these people who it feels like to me that me and Rachel and my dad are kind of waiting for one of those deaths to occur. If as expected, it ends up being Julie ends up passing pretty soon, then probably Rachel and I'll go back to Virginia for the funeral. Um, and we'll probably book an extra day or two, maybe have the opportunity to meet people who happen to be over there near Virginia. A spot appeared on your eyelid. You're terrified? Okay. Are you sure it's not your eyeball? You seen? The reflection of your eyeball on the inside of your eyelid? Maybe that's what it is. Or perhaps it's just a pimple. Perhaps you've got eyelid gonorrhea. Have you considered that? What's your superpower, Yo-Yo? If you have a superpower that you never use, do you not use it because it's hard to find uses of it that aren't wicked? Or do you not use it because You don't want people to have a lot of expectations that you help them with it. Oh, maybe it's just a spot on the mirror. Have you thought about that? It's located right where your eyelid is in your reflection. Mississippi is the worst M state. Let's see, there's Maryland, Montana, Michigan, Mississippi, Minnesota, New Mexico. There's New Mexico. Well, hopefully it's not cancer, Fly Guy. If it's on your eyelid, I've never heard of anybody getting eyelid cancer before. It may be the case that no cancer recorded has ever begun on the eyelid. Even if it moves to the eyelid, I just don't see any self-respecting cancer starting on the eyelid. It's like, granted, cancer's not that picky, but cancer still has its pride. And Fly Guy, you do have notoriously hideous eyelids. So, Fly Guy, you make a good point. You make a really compelling argument here. I think you just defeated me. For everybody, I want to make the announcement. I just lost an argument to Fly Guy. He is right, and I am wrong. And I should... He's kind of hilariously right, and I'm hilariously wrong as well. Good point there. I think that's a winning argument. What all crud goes around in these parts? That's a good diagnostic. I like that, Fly Guy. Whatever part of you you're worried about, just poke it real hard and see if it hurts. If it does, maybe you got something to worry about. You think there's something wrong with your arm? Alright, well, hit it with a hammer. If it hurts, you're right. Ow, that really hurt. What's wrong with it? Well, you've got a big bruise on it now. Did you break it? I hope you didn't hit it that hard. Oh, you did. Well, so what's wrong with it is you got a broken arm. And the reason is because you hit it with a hammer. But I thought I was supposed to find out if I had something wrong with it. You did. You found out that you got a broken arm. Is this spot on my eyelid cancer? That's the Google term search you want. Is this spot on my eyelid cancer? Asking Google questions like that always makes me laugh. Like, how's Google gonna know what I'm referring to? What's this thing that's been bothering me lately? What's that thing that's been bothering me lately? Is a great question to Google. Have I forgotten anything important? You get dirty at work because you're an adult film actor. And there's nothing more dirty than bodily fluids. Except maybe dirt. Truth is never changing amidst this ever-changing culture. Unchanging, unchangeable truths. Oh, stand there, forever the same. Let me admire your foreverness. Truths like peanut butter and jelly sandwiches shouldn't have too much peanut butter and too little jelly, or else it'll be too mushy in your mouth and you won't be able to swallow it well. That has always been true, shall always be true. Be careful when making a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. If you're going to put too much of one of the things on it, put too much jelly. Don't be a fool. Don't be a fool. Don't be a fool. Put salt on your fries. Whether you work at a restaurant, buy food from a restaurant, make it yourself, don't be a fool. Salt your fries. Fries are meant to be salted. Just as... What else is meant to be salted? Sunflower seeds. You can't eat sunflower seeds without salt, you know. I'm going to get an ointment to kill my infection, oh yes. Oh, ointment, oh balm. Oh, ointment so calm. Oh, balming and ointmenting, reinvigorating serum. Salt my fries. Rachel and I have this problem. We go to these restaurants. I tell them, salt the fries, please. And what happens, Rachel? We get fries. We place a fry in our mouth, only to discover the horror of unsalted fry. If you ever had unsalted fry before, it's kind of like putting a bug in your mouth, except without any salt on it. Ointment anointment is a good inky anointment. It's a good inky pinkety. You'd say a baptism in lotion. A baptism in balm. Baptize my member by anointing it with a salve like balm of an ointment. Inkity pinkity, pink kitty. Pink kitty is not anything. Pink kitty is not an ink pinky. It's just 2 words. Eric, I've seen my video 56 times now. Which video is that? I don't know what you're talking about. Is it a video that I've seen? Is it that video called Surviving Narcissism? On your channel? What's your channel? I don't even know who you are or what your channel is or anything. Is it called Yo-Yo? The Yo-Yo channel? Is it about yo-yos? Cancer schmancer indeed. Those are 2 of the reindeer you don't hear about that often. We've got Blitzen and Cancer and Schmancer and Bancer, Flancer and Wancer and Pantser and Dancer, but the most rancerous Plancer of all is named Flancer the doll. 2-minute video about love. You want me to watch it? Is that what you're saying? Is that really what you're saying, Yo-Yo? Is that you want me to watch it? Fortunate feathered animal. Inkety pinkety. Fortunate feathered animal. Inkety pinkety. Fortunate. Another 3-syllable word for fortunate? Yeah, that's an inky pinky. You added an extra itty, thus confusing me. It's about love. Okay, I'll watch your video. I guess I'm going to have to make you a mod briefly so you can link it. Alright, so link your video here. Pleasant pheasant. Yeah, so if you wanted to make that inky pinky at least S, you'd say something like agreeable game bird. Who's got an agreeable game bird waiting around? You want to see what? What are we looking at? Oh, the video. Right. Where is it? Yo-yo. Oh, I don't know. Give him a second to put it. Wasket in your basket. If you want a wasket in my basket, you better stop touching me. I only am gonna let you wasket basketly if you finally agree to stop touching my basket. Wasket in my basket will get you in trouble with me. You've gotta have a permit to wasket my basket, see. Is that you?
Ask you something? Have you ever been in love? If I wasn't ignoring.
Okay. Did you play that song? Is that you? And then you're playing that song from that movie? What movie is that? Where Keanu Reeves is so young and he's saying whatever he's saying to that lady. Learn more. Okay, well, why does it even have music in my video if I click and it just tells me what that means in general, but not? Oh, I see, it's right there. Paula Abdul. So, is that you playing her song first? Now, of course, I'm going to get a copyright thing, probably. And then Paula Abdul's going to take all the huge amounts of money this live stream is not making. But, you know, let's pretend, okay? Pretend I'm successful. That's pretty darn good, lady. It also looked like it was from a movie or something itself. You playing the violin? It's like, it looks like someone playing the violin in a movie. Someone who violates a comedian. Inky Pinkety. Is it a... I don't know. Comic... comic demonic? I don't know. Well, listen, I would say about songs is songs either, if they're good, they're representative of something universal for sure. But that when they fail is because they fail to be that. So I would say that not every song is an archetype. I'd say the ones that succeed are, and the ones that fail are not. Like, that's what makes them fail, is that they have no timeless quality. They're just derivative, you know. Good songs are as timeless as a diamond ring. Is everybody feeling some relief? I know I am. We were all wondering and worrying. Where has John Schindler gone? Well, don't worry. His phone died. He's back. Thanks for letting us know, John. Friday by Rebecca Black. Not a good song. I agree with you. That's not a timeless wonder, but instead something a little bit less than that. Can I type you in 2 minutes through the phone? No. That's silly. If you want to pet my kitty, you gotta go over there. If you want to pet my kitty, 'cause she's in that chair. She's over there. My last little kitty short got 2,000 views, so. Some snarky person said, and, ... I said, and, for some reason this gets 2,000 views and all my other videos fail utterly. And she's a pretty, beautiful kitty. If you want to pet my kitty, you gotta go over there. If you want to pet that kitty, she's in a chair. So like this video will probably do really well as a short, like better than any of my videos. I put any effort into at all, because it's a picture of the cat and me singing a little song to it. I shit you not. It's weird, huh? That's the fall of civilization for you right there. People find my boring videos boring instead of respectfully accepting their education. They just want to watch my little cat videos instead. What's wrong with these people? Cats are a universal truth. Boy, that is, in fact, the case. Let's see. Add clip. If you want to pet my kitty, you gotta go. If you want to pet my kitty, you gotta go over there. If you want to pet that kitty, she is in a chair. If you want to pet my kitty. Yep, this video will do well, I bet you. Video get on the short speed and get thousands of views. I had a video it was rolling on short speed, and the short speed. The thing about the short speed is if you want to pet my kitty, it's very much like you're either on it or you're not. So all of a sudden, when you're on it, your videos will be like, and then you're on it for a very short period of time, and then you'll totally be off it. It'll go flat. So one of them got to 9,977 views, and then flatlined. I was like, oh, come on, give me 33 more. What the fuck? You're gonna stop at 9,977? Come on now. That's mean. You're just teasing me. If you wanna pet my kitty ... Done. Videos. I could just make a video every day of me waking up the cat to a different song. I bet they'd all get like 1,000 views at least. Who knows what to do with YouTube? I don't know what to do with myself with YouTube. You know, it's like, what a crazy world we live in. I unwrenched him. Oh. Never mind. It's unrelated to that. But never mind. Just ignore all this stuff. Well, if you don't love my kitty, there definitely is something wrong with you. Because my kitty has been already established now by a number of reputable sources as an incredibly special lady and the true kitty pageant winner of all time. No, the correct answer is, if you want to pet my kitty, you got to go over there if you want to pet my kitty, because kitty's in a chair. Like, I want waiting for my shirt to pop up so I can look at it, but I guess it's not letting me look at it because it's saying, "Hey Eric, you're live streaming right now. You shouldn't be watching your short you just uploaded." I guess that's what it's saying. I don't know. So Rachel knows well the glory of Kitty. You know, she did it all for the glory of Kitty. She did it all for Kitty. Maybe tomorrow's song will be, "Everybody needs to pet a cat, even if it's fat and asleep over there. Pet me now. I never want to say I'm sorry. I just pet you some more. Pet me now." I mean, the thing is, Rachel understands, and probably none of the rest of you ever will. This cat has a magnetic, soft, gooey kittiness that just draws you to her. Makes you want to pet her and love her and tell her how beautiful she is. And say, oh wondrous kitty. Oh, magnificent kitty. Things like that. Oh, beautiful for kitty skies and amber waves of kitty grain, you know. Of course, she doesn't really want you to bother her that much. She's busy sleeping. And, but you can't help it. Because the softness, the softness of the kitty seduces you. And they look their softest when they're comfortably sleeping over there. If evolution were real, cats would evolve a defense mechanism against sleeping pets. They would have some thorns on them or something. Because as it stands, they don't really want to be woken up by a pet while they're sleeping, but they make it impossible for you not to pet them because they're so cute. So, what are you going to do? I'm saying that, therefore, that right there, definitive proof, evolution is bullshit. Well, not my cat. Now, I've had cats that were hoes. They went up to anybody that they saw and wanted love and push against them and all that kind of stuff. 66 is three numbers of it, yeah. It's not all the numbers. The other numbers are 615, 8751, and you're certainly welcome to put all of the numbers here in the chat. I don't have those weird things about my phone number that other people have. Oh no, you can't have my phone number. I mean, it used to be everybody was in the phone book, you know. Well, I'm not gonna lie, Leaf Trimmer. She does attain an extremely high degree of sensuality from a third party's perspective. I don't think she's trying to be sensual. I think it's just naturally exudes from her. So you're just gonna have to cut her some slack on that, you know. You can't don't hate her for being beautiful. Just like Sybil Shepherd back in the day. You're calling from Europe? You want to call me on WhatsApp? Even though I hate it. And what are you calling to talk to me about? Your type? Okay. Your type is European. you're from Europe and you have euros, you go to the discotheque to dance at night, you are a huge fan of craft work. You watch the Eurovision Song Contest every day, constantly, all the time. What other things do Europeans do? They take ferries places. I don't know why. It's like, why don't you get some regular land? Why don't you get your Euros to stop trying to cross bodies of water? You're just being greedy. You're fine on this side of the water. No reason for you to go to the other side of the water. Come on, Europe, get your act together. God. How about you put in some more regulations? That'll help. I tell you what, we Euros need. We need more regulations. Come on, government. Please, get over here. Send somebody over here to check my junk. Ain't no reason for you not to be giving me cavity searches every day. That's just part and parcel of living in our beautiful, free, enlightened police state. You're not giving enough free money to poor people. That's the problem. That's why your economies are doing poorly. You need to. Well, I mean, first of all, if you're German, you need to give more money to Greece. You haven't given them enough money yet. And if you are. Let's find out where you're from. Hello, this is host Eric. I'm making fun of Europe right now. How are you?
Hello, Eric. Can you type me in 1 minute?
No. What type do you want to be?
Okay, I'll try. I'll try next time then. Thank you very much, my friend.
Okay, goodbye. Well, that was that. That was not that lady playing violin. That wasn't a lady. You're very brachycephalic. What's brachycephalic mean? I want to know. Inquiring Erics want to know. I mean, when I say I can't type somebody in a minute on the phone, I mean a couple of things. I mean, I literally can't type somebody in a minute on the phone. And also, I'm fairly brachycephalic right now. And it's because when I don't get a whole lot of sleep, what happens is my lungs aren't getting their normal mia to the pia, so to speak. Which is a recovery time per smoking time. If you want to love my phallus, you gotta come to my palace. If you want to touch my yoni, you gotta get in with Johnny. If you want to lick my lingam, you gotta wear that material called dingham, which I believe is some kind of dressmaking material. Blue dingham. John Chandler gives me an F minus on my typing performance. Okay, so yeah, first of all, no, I can't type somebody real quick on the phone. I need to actually sit down and talk to them for an extended period of time and dig. And second of all, doing so is actually work. You know, it's pretty pleasant work. Sometimes it's a lot of fun. But it is work, whereas I'm off the clock right now. You know, this is my pre-bedtime vocalization exercises. When Tom Cruise looks at you, he makes you feel as if you're the only person in the whole world. I don't recall Tom Cruise ever looking at me. But maybe I wasn't considering the fact that Tom Cruise can look at you from afar. You're not even aware of it. He might be looking at me right now. He can see me no matter where he is. He's got that kind of powerful eyes. I'm Tom Cruise. If Tom Cruise were looking at me, he'd be looking like this. It's pretty hard to be intimidated when you're way down there. I know he's a very stern fellow and everything, but I think I'm probably a supervisor type. I think he's probably an ISTP. Although I could be wrong about that, but you know, Tom Cruise would remove me from any project on which he was working right away, I'm sure. Get that guy out of here. He's suppressing the shit out of me. Well, you know, I want to just say, hey, listen, Tom. Unlike the other people who you accuse of being suppressive people, you're right. I'm trying to suppress your nonsense. I think it's stupid, so I'm trying to suppress it. So it's a correct term for me. I'm a suppressive person. However, you'd probably be well served to have it suppressed. So I don't know if why do I want to feel heard by Tom Cruise? The thing is, of course, if I wanted to communicate with Tom Cruise, I wouldn't want to feel heard. I'd want to be agreed with. I don't care how you reach that agreement, whether it's by hearing me, listening to me, or just getting tired of arguing against me. But one way or another, just you're gonna have to concede the point, whatever it is. I don't need to feel heard. It's like there was a time way back when, I don't remember exactly when it was, when Corey, I was trying to say something to Corey where we were in disagreement, and he kept responding with, "I hear you." And I said, eventually I was like the third person, I said, "I know you hear me. I don't care if you hear me. I'm not trying to feel heard. I'm trying to actually be heard." You know, there's a big difference. So how did it go? Did you get what you want? Yeah. I really feel heard. But did you get what you want? Well, I mean, I really feel like they cared and they paid a lot of attention. Did you get what you want? No. Okay, so you just got smoke blowing up your ass. Got it. Next time send to me. That won't happen. Because the thing is, the only way you can successfully have somebody who's not going to get any smoke blown up their ass is they have to get mad, sort of naturally, reflexively, at non-responsiveness. Because all smoke up ass blowing is predicated on first being able to get the other person to not recognize or call you out for being non-responsive. And there are lots of people who are very subject to having the subject changed on them simply by having the person not respond to what they asked and redirect with a question of their own or something like that. And probably a solid majority of people with simple little tricks like that will be redirected away from what they want to know. Fake period blood. I mean, I agree it's a spectacular product idea because I only have so much real period blood to access for my vaginal blood flu splash parties. And it's not ideal, but I'd rather supplement with fake period blood than not have enough period blood for everyone to get in the pool. I am such a great person, thanks. You're just saying that because you want an invitation to the next vaginal blood flu splash party. It's not that easy to get on the VIP list, Fly Guy. First, I have to make one. Then I have to actually decide to follow through and put people's names on it. Neither of those things is likely to happen, so it's pretty hard to get on the VIP list. But there's one special fellow who's number one on the VIP list, we should say, the very important penis list, and that's yours truly, my own penis. Much more important than anybody else's. Other people, if their penises were to fall off, you know, I'd have empathy of some sort, but it'd be like, no skin off my back, no penis off my body. But if it were my own penis, that'd be a big problem. Big, big problem. So if there's a penis falling off virus going around next, I'm going to mask up. I'm going to really mask up. You know, if you really want me to mask up, you better come up with a virus that makes my penis fall off. Then I'll definitely mask up. I'll take all the alarmist precautions. Death? No. Penis falling off? Yes. That I definitely want to avoid. Because, you know, you figure no matter what, everybody in life is going to be subject to some risk of death. It's sort of a generic risk, you know. But things that might make your penis fall off, it's kind of a uniquely specific and undesirable trait. Penis Fall is a good album name. I don't know about that. I would say a better name for an album is Pituitary Gland. Maybe stroking, milk my pituitary gland would be a good name for an album. Milk it. So, anyway, one thing that Rachel and I like to do that's pretty sexual is we like to milk each other's pituitary glands. If you think a regular orgasm is fine, or maybe you think like a prostate orgasm is great or something, you've never had that special kind of orgasm that happens when your pituitary gland is properly milked. It feels like 1,000 stallions, giant horse stallions, all ejaculating into your eyes at the same time. With your eyes wide like this, just an ocean of horse cum into your eyeballs is what it feels like. Or, in other words, absolutely fantastic. In other words, everybody's dream. Oh, I won't forget, Boba Fett. I will not forget to take my booster shot. Because if there's one thing I love, it's getting booster shots. I like everything booster. I like booster tables. I like booster chairs. I like Booster the Friendly Ghost. I like Booster the Booster, who's a guy who boofs everything. Even if it's not even a pill or anything, you just put it up his butt. That's what they call him. Booster the Boofer. Booster Gold. I don't know what Booster Gold is, but I'm already liking it because it's got Booster in it. Right, and a thyroid throbber, right. If you can get a girl who's willing to concurrently milk your pituitary gland while stroking your thyroid and licking your gallbladder, boy, that is. You want to talk about having your mind blown. I mean, it involves a lot of really invasive surgery, but it's absolutely fantastic. Boom. Boom. I don't know what Booster Gold is. Do I put it on my prostate? Is that where it goes? If I were on the gold standard, then I'd want to stick a bar of gold up my butt so that it would keep my prostate healthy. I've heard that basically if you have a bar of gold continually pressed against your prostate, it'll get smaller. Of course, apparently, in order to do this, the prostate rather quickly consumes the gold. Well, yeah, you don't want to discover something gross. When people talk about some disgusting sex act, they're probably on Urban Dictionary. Some disgusting sex act like anything other than missionary physician. Like something really disgusting like kissing or foreplay. Just kidding. I had my appendix removed. So, John Schindler, the point here is this, that it's kind of like being circumcised. I had it removed when I was young, so I don't really know what I'm missing. It was pre-puberty. So my appendix didn't develop its various post-puberty qualities. Because obviously, you probably know this, but when you hit puberty, hair grows on your appendix that had not been there before. Some days I miss it. Some days I look at a particularly appealing pile of pebbles and twigs and say, sorry guys, I can't eat you today. My appendix isn't there to take the grit out of my digestive process. Because otherwise I eat a lot more grit, obviously, but better safe than sorry. Actually, having your appendix removed is considered murder in Alabama. It's considered a separate human being. You've probably seen the signs. Your appendix, a beating heart at 6 weeks. Pretty much in Alabama they consider anything a human being. If it comes near a pregnant woman, it gets grandfathered in. Both the doctor and the woman go to jail. It's appropriate. Fortunately, it's okay for men to get their appendixes removed because they can't be pregnant, so it's fine. Ovaries. Source of civilization downfall or necessary for making children or both. Topic of today's roundtable discussion. Tonsils? Oh yeah, I use my tonsils all the time. down at the dog park the other day, and a lady's car had broken down. And she's like, "Do you have any jumper cables?" I said, "Well, no, but here, try using my tonsils." Sure enough, they worked just fine. Probably important not to lose yours. I believe you mean starting cars with dead batteries, Elise asks. But I get it. Maybe you're speaking in metaphor. A lady did ask me in a parking lot the other night if I had jumper cables, and much to my chagrin, I did not. I used to carry jumper cables in every vehicle I've ever had, and the reason I don't have them in the Mini is because the floor doesn't open in the back. So it's like I don't want jumper cables if I can't put them underneath the floor somewhere. I don't want them just there. In other words, I want there to be nothing in my trunk unless I'm taking something someplace. Other than that, I want it empty. I don't like it when shit rolls around when you turn corners, you know? It makes me want to go, Eric, you big dummy, take that out of the trunk already. Why'd you leave that in the trunk? I envisioned jumper cables bugging me by always being in the trunk without really having a place for them. So I didn't put them in this car. No, Fly Guy. That was a different time. That wasn't my tonsils. Okay. That were my Achilles tendons. I just got in a horrible bicycling accident in which I crashed my bicycle. At first I was fine, and then as I was getting up I slipped on two surgical knives that sliced out my Achilles tendons. It was then that a woman was riding by on her bicycle, and I was mad, because I thought this wasn't really fair what happened to me. And so, with my arms, my legs not being able to really elevate me, I jumped up, using my Achilles tendons, quickly strangled her, and then crawled on my bloody knees and elbows across the finish line. I was still in last place, but I had the solace of having strangled that lady, so it was fine. Strangling is funny, is a thing. Like, what are you gonna go do? I'll probably do a little strangling. Strangling? Yeah. My hands get just this feeling of must strangle periodically. So what are you gonna strangle? Goats, I think, probably? Let's find some goats to strangle, or maybe like a really small horse? If I could get my hands around his neck. Why are you strangling? Yeah, I know that's a thing. But that's not a thing that I do. No, I'm aware that it's actually like, I think it's more common than people think. But it's not something that I do or have had done to me. It's just a little. I mean, you got to be into rough sex, I'm not really into rough stuff. No. Water? No. I think what you mean is like something gross. So I'm gonna say no. I'm not sure what it is. So I'm gonna just say no right away. Unless it's jet skis, in which case, okay, I'll go on a jet ski one time. I've never been on one. I always kind of thought I wanted to. You're 540,000 social credit points away from a BJ from Supreme Leader G. Wow. Topics have no on-off switch. Leaf trimmer. And that wasn't Elise S. It was Boba Fett. I'm not sure what water spurs refers to, but I think it's something gross. And I don't want to find out for sure. So if you want to blame somebody, blamey pants, blame Boba Fett. Why don't you send him a Hallmark card that says, I blame you for everything? Why doesn't Hallmark have blame cards? That's what we really need in society, is more blaming. Look, I don't know. I'm an old-fashioned guy with his old-fashioned ways. I like to hump with my penis and poop with my butt. You know? I like to breathe with my neck and not have people choke it. And I like to make sure nobody's anything gets hurt, you know. Now granted, I understand that for people who want it that way, then there's nothing wrong with wanting it that way and getting it that way. But I'm just saying, if you do, you're a wicked and gross pervert. That's all. Oh wait, no, I'm not saying that. I confused myself for a second there. I've lost my coffee. Where has it gone? When will it return? Why can't I find it? Where is my mom? Oh, good God, let it burn. It's here in the micro, left where it is, as usual, as where I leave it. Now I'll put in this creamer here, Biz, and stir it and steam it. And once I am done, I'll swallow your cum. I'll drink this coffee. That slip wasn't Freudian, and instead, it's annoyed again. And that's a poem by Eric. A poem. See, that's the beautiful thing about what I'm advocating as a general solution for the world, is it makes very clear the group of people we should blame, and we've got good reason to blame them, and it's a group of people called anybody and everybody who disagrees with Eric about things. Now that's a fair group, right? So it's not the Republicans are to blame, the Democrats are to blame. It's everybody who's not listening more to Eric is to blame. And the reason they're to blame is because why? What are they failing to do enough of? Listening to me. That's right. Given that if everybody listened to me, I'd save the world. Therefore, everybody has a moral obligation to constantly listen to me. That's good logic. That's good reasoning, Eric. I think you're onto something there. What your point should be is that everyone in the world is wicked for not listening to me more. People are gonna go apeshit over that message. They're gonna say, "Hey, you're the guy whose words I want to echo, whose wisdom and guidance I wish to seek." Yeah. I think we all need to get in the practice of doing this. Of pointing and saying, "No! You need to listen to Eric." When people say something that we don't like. Especially if we don't know them. I wonder how many people, if you went up to them and said that, would respond by saying, Eric who? The Eric. Who else? Host Eric talking to famous people? What's that? Oh my god. What is wrong with you? You don't even know who Host Eric is from talking with famous people? I thought you said you were a human being on this planet. I didn't say anything to you. You just ran up to me and said, no, you need to listen to Eric. And I'm just trying to figure out what what you meant. Exactly what I said. You need to listen to Eric a lot more. Go to YouTube right now. Right now, you need to be saving lives. The only way you can be one of the many heroes that we can celebrate is to constantly save lives by always listening to Eric. That way you're guaranteed to save at least 5 lives a day. That's a lot bigger number than staying home or wearing masks guarantees you. Because you can't really guarantee that methodology. But when you're constantly watching Eric, you're guaranteed to save lives. He defines them in a way that makes that true. That's why. You can't save all the lives because I save most of them. So you can only get a few. You can get credit for like 5 a day, that's it. Keeping in mind that we're only allowed to save a maximum of all 7 billion people once a year. So I can claim to have saved 7 billion people once a year. So over the course of my lifetime, if I save all 7 billion every year, I would in theory have a lot of lives saved to my credit. But of course I need you. The thing is, my whole message here is, in order to successfully save all these lives, you need to do your part too, which means you get credit for some of the lives that are saved. You get paid in saved lives. Who here thinks they've saved the most lives? Me. During COVID, I saved countless millions. Countless millions by staying home. Oh, the lives I saved. The thing is, it's weird. I can't believe how ungrateful people are. Do you know that I've not gotten a single thank you hero letter from any of the people whose lives I saved? You'd think they'd be like, if it weren't for your amazing bravery, Eric, we'd all be dead today. Thank you so much. But no. I guess they think they don't want to bother me, that, I'm so important having saved all those lives that they don't want to impose or something. That must be it. You learn to tie basic knots? Why? Is it because the complicated knots weren't doing the job you wanted them to? So guys, I think we're all in agreement. Leaf trimmer, you don't get to claim any lives saved yet until you prove that you've told at least 10 people, you've told them that they have to spend all their time talking with famous people, or they'll go to hell. I want you to find the most religious people you know around and tell them that. It's a credible threat, and it's powerful, like powerful incentive. You don't want to be damned for all eternity just for not listening to enough host Eric. Did you receive a Bible at your doorstep? Yeah. That Bible was from me. It said, L-E-E-E, trimmer, his Bible is giving it to you. What you gonna do with my Bible, little Sue? I'm giving you my Bible, but Jesus and who? Other people from the Bible, like meow, 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 king, meow, 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 meow. How many Bibles am I going to have to sell before I get promoted to priest around here? Is one thing I would ask. I'm super tired, but I'm going to play a song before I go to bed. And then I got to go to bed and get 4 hours before I get up inside this bed. It's going to be a rough get up. But, you know, maybe not. Maybe it'll be fine. A rough get up is when you're super tired and you don't want to get up, but you have to. You know? Rachel's grandma wants her to read the Bible more. Rachel's grandma thinks that what's in store will be some sort of resonance for her granddaughter. I'm glad you talked to her. I'm sure it made her happy. She always seems so glad to speak to you. And you also talk to your dad. Sounds like he's doing pretty rad. He has a new girlfriend and it seems he's spending a lot of time with her. Please stop feeding me the Eucharist in such suggestive manners. It looks like you and I are getting intimate. You do not need to touch my tongue with your pinky when you're placing wafers on it. I know where that finger's been. It's not that clean, and then I also know just why I don't want it in my eye. Why must you poke me in my eye when you're done feeding me the body of Christ? Yes, you're correct, Morris. It's good in on it. Basically, you're saying there's only one really good part of that. Yeah, you're right. See me. It's a cloudy day. It's a very cloudy day in Los Angeles. And today we run out of time. Struggles past, troubles still to come. The day is nearly done. Will someone buy us some more time? Cloudy day in Los Angeles. Cloudy day in LA. I'm no sort of evangelist, but I have something to say. Life can strangely be forgiving to those who stay awake all night, and voices telling you to give in will try to sap your will to fight. Oh, whether I'm supposed to be here or just be soon forgotten, noise is sort of based on what I see here and also on what I avoid. It's a very cloudy day in Los Angeles, and today we run out of time. Struggles past, troubles still to come. The day is nearly done. Will someone buy us some more time? Cloudy day in Los Angeles. Cloudy day in LA. I'm no sort of evangelist, but I have something to say, something to say. It was 100,000 million years ago. Time ran slow. It was 100,000 million years ago. Time ran slow. Nobody yet to show place the slab below. It was 100,000 million years ago. Time ran slow. Nobody yet to show place the slabs below. Let them go. They will start to grow. More years ensue. Tears gnashing through. Older slabs coming to view. Unchangingly true and eternally new. Oh, when the slope appears in charge today, options at large show other ways. Give each a chance now, one's quick to check, but don't get caught standing on deck. The slope presents a fork. It's not easy stopping short, too far along to turn around. Perhaps the better course was headed ever north. Now there's a fitter force, enemy ground. It was 100,000 million years ago. Time ran slow. Nobody yet to show place the slabs below. Let them go. They will start to grow. More years ensue. Tears gnashing through. Older slabs come to view. Unchangingly true and eternally new. But when the slope appears in charge today, options at large show other ways. Give each a chance now, one's quick to check, but don't get caught standing on deck. The slope presents a fork. It's not easy stopping short, too far along to turn around. Perhaps the better course was headed ever north. Now there's a fitter force, enemy ground. It was 100,000 million years ago. So that's kind of hard on my hand. Kind of makes me feel like a tired Bobayard. Did I ever get more coffee? Oh yeah, I did. There's coffee right here. When I was younger, it seemed that everything gleamed. I don't know what happened to me, but I've lost that sense of urgency, and I don't think that I'll ever see it again. If you follow my lead, you'll discover I'm loster than you, and you'll want to know the way to get back out to wherever it was you thought you knew. And tomorrow will be just like today. I'll be lost in two. It's a matter of mood as much as a matter of will, and the things I do and the direction I point to still seem a part of me, though departedly. And I wonder if I'll ever see them again. Bumpity-da, ba-dee-da-dee-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. Ba-dee-ba-dee-da, ba-dee-da-dee-doo, ba-dee-da.
See, this bugs, this buzzy buzz thing. Stop it, buzzy buzz. You ain't a bee. You don't get to buzz at me. Because I'm wild and free as the winter winds and the summer rains mixed together into a spring mudslide that brings chaos and new life everywhere it flows. I'm exactly like that. A big metaphor. A big fancy sounding metaphor. It's Gregory in disguise, hands in his pockets. Now he's walking down the drive, averts his eyes. He doesn't want you guys to realize that he's Gregory in disguise, hands in his pockets. Now he's walking down the drive, averts his eyes. He doesn't want you guys to realize that he's Gregory in disguise. He hates the lies, wants to confront the men, always telling them. But every time he tries, they only run and hide. Again he is denied the chance to yell at them. But now he's Gregory in disguise, hands in his pockets. Now he's walking down the drive, averts his eyes. He doesn't want you guys to realize that he's Gregory in disguise, hands in his pockets. Now he's walking down the drive, averts your eyes. He doesn't want you guys to realize that he's Gregory in disguise. He hates the lies, wants to confront the men, always telling them. But every time he tries, they only run and hide. Again he is denied the chance to yell at them. But then the bridge brings a new approach. Sneakily, he'll try to encroach up on the guilty. Then perhaps he'll have his chance to yell at them. He's Gregory in disguise, hands in his pockets. Now he's walking down the drive, averts his eyes. He doesn't want you guys to realize that he's Gregory in disguise, hands in his pockets. Now he's walking down the drive, averts his eyes. He doesn't want you guys to realize that he's Gregory in disguise. He hates the lies, wants to confront the men, always telling them. But every time he tries, they only run and hide. Again he is denied the chance to yell at them. Because he's Gregory in disguise. Oh, really, Eric? Is that who he is? Yeah, it's true. Well, it's as true as me, as true as you, as true as B, and as true as blue, as true as forgetting anything you knew, as true as love itself. I say true, and you say false. I say what's up, but you say you don't fault me for asking that question. And still you don't answer. I wonder what's up with that. So I say, what's up with that now? Then you say it's whatever it is. Wow, what you mean by phrasing the question that way? I say I'm not saying nothing, just saying something that says a lot. And she's like, I wonder what that means. Doesn't seem to say much, if anything at all. You you say I think you are special, and I agree that we can forget that. And if you want to buy a live Christmas tree again this year, I think we should not do that, dear. Not that you suggested it, I don't mean to imply that at all. But that song's called Pyap Pyap Pyap. It's by the Pyap Pyap and the Pyap Pyap Sisters on their great classic album, Eponymous is a puppetonomously named Pyap Pyap and the Pyap Pyap Sisters. A little music history for everybody. Everybody always enjoys a little music history. I know I do. I come from New York City, down to Florida. I come from old Chicago to California way, but I never left the place I love, 'cause I was out of dough. And I'm 1/2 step from Utah and 2 miles out of the dough. So when you ask me, darling, do I have a trucker's woes? Well, I got to tell you, baby, from my head down to my toes. I drive all night and I drive all day to be home by the end of the week. And I got to tell you, baby, things are looking mighty bleak. I'm a couple of pair of underwear away from Linda Lee. I'm driving west to see my best girl, Cindy Bree. Well, I'm driving fast, drinking beer, radio's on a Judd. And I'm 1/2 step from Utah and 2 miles out of the mud. So when you ask me, darling, do I have a trucker's woes? Well, I got to tell you, baby, from my head down to my toes. Drive all night and I drive all day to be home by the end of the week. And I got to tell you, baby, things are looking mighty bleak. Looking mighty bleak. Yes, that's the outlook for both the weather and our hearts today. Here on Bleak FM 103.1. The 13. 12 a.m., that means it's time for me to stop. I gotta go get some sleep. Anybody remember a video game called Bloody Roar? No, but I feel like I missed out. It sounds like it's fun. I love the title, Bloody Roar. That's that might be my spirit animal. It's not even an animal, it's just a bloody roar. Regardless, good night, everybody. Know that in my heart, I love you with my emotions. And when you're feeling blue, say to yourself this: I am loved. Why? Because Eric and Rachel love me.